Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll all rise to the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, all 5 council members are present. At this time, note, a young lady from Belgrade has called me and asked me if he could do a quick presentation. Miss Sarah Lungat.
So, thank you, Chair President. As you heard, my name is Sarah Langet, and I am one of the school board member reps from Belgrade. Just recently, actually Wednesday, August 20th, which the council was meeting here, the school board was having a vote on a MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding, for the use of the most east edge of the lot here of the RSU to allow entrance and access to ATV trailers, and so they can catch up with the ATV trail. At that point, in the discussion, the pesky delegates from Belgrade were the ones with the most questions about this MOU. Just so happened that Director Storko and myself, we have been very involved with the land use in Belgrade. So we stretch every single corner and question possible, and we found ourselves with a pleasant surprise that our superintendent happened to be in the planning board in Fairfield. That said, that night I had a little gift for Mrs. Penny Michu, because she was a stronghold in making sure that that happened, and that's going to be a agreement that definitely is going to fuel the economic engine of this town. And what is good for the town of Oakland is good for our RSU. So I wanted to present her with a little gift and a card. Thank you so much. And so the gift, so everybody knows, first of all, you, it's a happy elephant. And this craft is done by a couple from Northward. And a happy elephant means, I gotta read this one. I couldn't remember all the strength here, right? Because it means good luck, strength, wisdom, prosperity, and longevity. Go accountable. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Yes, in the meantime, for it.
Next item up is to approve the minutes from August 20th.
I'd make a motion to approve that.
Motion is made, second by Mr. Nutting, all in favor. Next item up is new business, and I'm gonna get on to the first is talk about Delta ambulance with the exec Chris Mitchell.
Yes, hi Chris. So you all got a letter regarding the license change, and I asked Chris to be here this evening to talk a little bit more about it and take it away.
Okay. So the license level, the agency license level for any service refers to EMT, the advanced care paramedic levels. So that basically implies what level of care we can provide to our patients. EMT being the minimum amount of care, which is things like CPR, oxygen administration, splinting, bandaging. And then as you move up to paramedic, with more and more interventions and more assessment skills. We can do EKGs, we can do medications, we can do advanced airway procedures. So main EMS rules, the way they define the agency license levels, that is the level that on any 911 call, we're required to send that level of care to them, whether or not the call actually warrants it. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of calls that we go to that don't necessarily meet criteria for paramedic level response. It might be someone just needs help up off the floor, a lift assist, or it might be a behavioral health issue or a mental health issue. Other calls would require paramedic level intervention, might be your chest pain, your respiratory call, your cardiac arrest, things like that. So there's a pretty wide range of calls we go to. And we ran the numbers, and over half, I don't have the exact number right now, but over half of them reliably don't require any advanced level skills at all, or any advanced level assessment. And those percentages drop as you approach the paramedic level. I bet it's around about 20% actually require paramedic level care. So that kind of drove us to look at what do we actually need to do for our license level. As we're looking at our own resources, we want to make sure that we're able to deliver, we want to get an ambulance to the call, regardless of what level it is, as long as it's appropriate. The way Delta has been licensed all along is we've always been licensed at the paramedic level. So by default, we have always been required to send a paramedic level ambulance to every 911 call. As years have gone on, we've staffed other level ambulances. We've had basic EMT ambulances, we've had advanced EMT level ambulances that have also been in service, but because of our license level restrictions, we have not been able to dispatch those ambulances to 911 calls. Sometimes that leads to, we can't, we might have an ambulance available in the system, but we have to request assistance from another agency to come in and support us. When we have an ambulance that could handle the call, but our license level says we're not allowed to send. So that's what we're trying to navigate around. And I did quote the main EMS rules here, and I apologize, I just caught this, but if you're reading through this, where it says a ground ambulance service or non-transporting service will be licensed at the level, those numbers in there were just the line numbers. When I copied and pasted this, I didn't catch that, I'm sorry. So if there's any confusion with what those numbers mean or not. So what we are going to be doing, and this is a work in progress, so we have not fully submitted our application to main EMS, so they're not currently processing this yet. What we're doing is we're changing our fleet schedule around. So not all of our ambulances are going to be staffed at the paramedic level. We're moving some of our paramedics on fly cars. So basically, quick response SUVs. You might have seen a couple driving our supervisor vehicle is one of those. And we have two others that are in service now. So those will be staffed by paramedic, and they're going to support 2 to 3, depending on what the day looks like. They'll be supporting potentially multiple non-paramedic ambulances. So ambulance staff at the EMT level, the advanced EMT level. And when the call warrants it, the paramedic on the fly car will respond along with that ambulance to the 911 call. If guidelines by main EMS and emergency medical dispatch algorithms and our own QI and QA that standards don't say that we need to send a medic, then that ambulance might go by itself. Paramedic would always be available to respond if needed. So it's a long process to go through. It's a significant change for Delta because the license level changes. At least there's a lot of steps to it. From the patient end of it, we don't intend for anybody to see any difference in the level of care they're going to get. So if people need paramedic level care, they're still going to get a paramedic. If people don't need paramedic level care, they still might get a paramedic, but they will get an ambulance regardless. And we're going to continue to use our own mutual aid system. So we mutual aid with Waterville, with Winslow, with Clinton, with Gardner, with Augusta. Everybody runs out of resources occasionally. When that happens to us, we're going to continue to do things as we've been doing. And if we need to have a paramedic, we'll request a paramedic from one of those other agencies. So the intent here and our goal is not to diminish our level of care to anybody that needs it. We're just looking for that little extra edge and flexibility. So if we do have an ambulance that's not staffed at paramedic level, we want to be able to send them to a call. Kind of when you come right down to it, any ambulance is sometimes better than no ambulance call. So that's what we're navigating right now.
Anybody have any questions for Chris? It's not going to change our level of our service fee that we pay for this year. It may adjust for next year, but this year we're still $35 per capita.
Yeah, this change will go into effect so main EMS has a period of time, and I'm still trying to navigate exactly what that is. It's not clear in the rules. When we submit our application, we have to submit public notice. It's open for public comment for, I believe, 30 days. And then main EMS after that has another set of time where they can process the application and then are either approve or deny it. This does have the support of our service medical director, Dr. Diaz, and our regional medical director, Dr. Pay, both of whom work at Maine General and work a lot of others too. But this does have support. It's a sound plan. Like I said, this shouldn't change the level of care that people are going to get if they need it. So we have not submitted the application yet. That's pending. I would say probably we have to have a board meeting to vote on that, either remotely or in person. This probably won't change at the very earliest. I think probably mid-October to early November. It may be beyond that, but I will make sure that the towns all know and have.
Questions? No.
So this doesn't change the fact that if somebody calls 911 and needs a paramedic, they're going to be guaranteed a paramedic.
As much as resources allow, we do now. So that's not going to change. So right now we send a paramedic. Well, we have a paramedic available for every call. If we don't, we call mutual aid. And that practice is going to be the same continuing. So our intent, we have the same number of paramedics on staff, we've just moved them around. So if somebody needs a paramedic, they'll get a paramedic as much as our own resources allow, and if our resources don't allow it, we will find one.
So the $35 per capita that we pay now, is that going to change? Based on the fact that we may not get a paramedic?
No, because right now you're still going to get a paramedic if you need one. Right now, we're required to have a paramedic available. So on a busy day, we may have to send another agency anyway. We might have to call mutual aid from Waterville or Winslow or Augusta or Gardner, depending on who might be closest to whatever municipality it is. And they sometimes aren't licensed at paramedic level. So we may be calling for mutual aid because we don't have a paramedic ambulance, and another agency may be sending a basic ambulance. We don't have a control over that because their license level allows them to send a different level of care when 911 call, but we can't. It's a little convoluted, but that's the reality. So sometimes when we request mutual aid, we don't always get. We might not be able to send a paramedic truck, and we can't send our basic truck, but we have to call mutual aid to another agency that's only licensed at EMT level, and that's what they send. And they're allowed to do that. Yeah.
So the $35 capita fee isn't based on license?
No. Statistically, we've looked at the numbers. Like I said, I believe 57% is hanging in my head right now, but well over half of the calls we go to, if we looked at everything in hindsight, so like actual care that was rendered, more than half of it was basic level care. I think it was probably somewhere, like making up the number, but a smaller percentage of that was advanced level care, but not quite paramedic level care. So this could be IVs, certain medications, maybe an EKG, and then actual paramedic level care. So that'd be care that an EMT couldn't do. So advanced airways, surgical airways, a longer list of medications. The times that those interventions were performed, it was only about, I think it was about 15 to 20% of all the calls that go on. So we looked at everything. Most of our calls that we respond to are basic level calls, and that's true nationwide. It's not just us, but that's based on probably 4 or 5 years worth of data we did show on for a while. So, and it's consistent from town to town. If we were to break that up into individual towns, you'll see the same sort of percentages roughly that falls into. Most of the calls that go to a basic and a smaller level require some advanced level skills, and then a much smaller percentage will require paramedic intervention.
Dean Wrigley's got a question for you, sir.
I don't see anybody here from our fire department. You know what level our EMTs are at that are in our fire
I
department?
believe that are licensed at EMT and permanent advanced. Go ahead. There you go.
We do all have one. Oh, okay.
What is our license and permit level for Oakland?
We are permitted up to the advanced level, but we're licensed at basic
Thank you.
of the full timers. Half of us are advanced.
Which does bring up a good point. So this will involve some discussions with the rescue services in the event that we can't send the match level of care to the call. So for instance, if Oakland is on scene and they've started an IV or they've done some advanced level interventions and we send a basic ambulance, there are some kinks that we might have to work out. Like I said, though, our intent is not to do that. This is kind of it's a flexibility piece. So basically, if all we have left is this ambulance, we want the ability to send that ambulance rather than hold it and not send anything.
Have you presented to any other towns?
Not directly, no. This is the first time I'm supposed to be correct about it.
So, well, go ahead, Bill.
So what I think I'm hearing is that this is going to allow you to have better blanket coverage. Because right now you're not able to send out the basic ambulance because you guys are at paramedic level.
So backing up a few years, so when we did that joint program with Waterville, so it was a little different, but this is where so we work under a response plan right now. And the response plan was really designed with that project in mind. So we would supply a paramedic fly car and it covered 2 advanced level ambulances in the city of Waterville. So we were licensed at the paramedic level, but through that response plan, we had a little bit of wiggle room. It was really designed for that local area because the system works really well in the local area, just the response plan. It still held us to that standard though. We need to have a paramedic available for everything. It may not go to the call, it may not be on scene, but it's there and it's ready when we need it. As you expand the service area though, we looked at that for Waterville, works great. It's 15 roughly square miles. Over 500 square miles, that plan doesn't work that well anymore. just in the off chance that, we get information that says this call will require basic EMT, require basic level of care. We get out there and surprised it needs more than that. And now our paramedic is farther away. We didn't want to get into that gray area where we could potentially set everyone up for a problem, jeopardizing patient care or setting us up for any kind of, issues with maintaining mess rules.
So each year lately, you've gone up and increased your price. What are you looking at for a price next year?
I'm going to discuss that at the town meetings next week. I believe is next week, the 17th.
That's not meeting.
It's a town hall meeting.
It's a multi-town meeting. Yeah. I didn't bring any materials to bring that up. I'd like to discuss that in a lot more detail. I've got a lot of supporting documentation.
So can we hear you figure it off the bat?
I prefer to wait until the next town meeting. That's okay.
I've heard personally about $75 per capita.
That's incorrect.
What's that?
That's incorrect.
Incorrect.
There are two scenarios.
You're talking almost $475,000 for the town of Oakland
There are
to
two
keep you
scenarios.
guys in business.
There are two scenarios. One involves the departure of Fairfield and Benton. And the other does not. So there's two potential avenues, and a lot of that depends on what Fairfield may or may not do. That's something we're navigating with Fairfield. Don't have a final answer yet, though.
And we did ask Chris to be here tonight to discuss the license levels.
I'm happy
Next
to,
year's.
yeah, no, I'm more than happy to discuss that, but I didn't bring any of my materials to discuss it, and I would prefer just to get all the information out to everyone at the same time, so that anyone that does have questions, we all hear the same information and get the same feedback.
Any further, ma'am? Go ahead.
So
Well,
with
get ready.
the paramedics being in fly cars,
Mhm.
you're going to be able to keep them spread out over more of this 400 square mile area or whatever it was you said.
That's, so initially,
So they'll be a little more accessible to when all of a sudden there's a call at the basic level and you find out that it's paramedic, and they'll be able to get there faster than they would be at this, well.
that is one of the goals, yes. We're kind of early in the operational plans with this. We don't want to make too many changes too abruptly because we
Right.
just need to see how it's going to work first. We'll make small adjustments as we go, but when we get further out, that's what I would like to see is to have those paramedics staged further out. So they can kind of be more of a blank
Yeah.
rather than central, because it is a long response. If we go from Waterville to Smithfield,
Yep.
It could be 20 to 30 minutes depending on weather.
What else?
We would love to have.
I know.
And honestly, that's where we really depend. The system works really well right now.
Yeah.
And we depend on our first responder agencies too. It's not financially practical or operationally feasible to put a transporting ambulance within a 10-minute radius of every location in our coverage area. What we found that most patients need though, is everyone can benefit from rapid assessment and in some cases, rapid intervention. So the patient that goes into cardiac arrest, there's roughly a 10-minute window. The sooner you can get to that patient and start doing chest compressions, the better. Respiratory complaints, same thing. So there are those, I won't say they're infrequent, but compared to like all the calls we go to, they're not that frequent. But there is a subset of patients that do benefit from those critical interventions as fast as you can, but a lot of them don't. So for those patients, it's really good to have first responders. And honestly, most of the interventions that we're talking about, the life-saving stuff, the CPR, the bleeding control, choking, foreign body removal, those can all be administered at the basic level. So we really do rely on our first responders too, because they're ideally staged. They're already out there. So even if the transporting ambulance might be coming from further away, for those critical patients, hopefully they're already getting those critical interventions before we arrive. So the system works pretty well right now. It's how a lot of rural areas operate.
Mr. Woolman?
Not for or against my question. What was the major impetus? We had trouble getting the upper level paramedics.
So there's actually two parts to this. So staffing was a big one. It's just changed. We have about 20 plus or minus full-time paramedics excuse me. Trying to think of our full-time numbers right now. It's around 20 full-time paramedics, and then we've got a handful of people that work part-time. Paramedic staffing is really hard to come by. The last few years when the pandemic happened, all the schools shut down, it put everyone stalled. So we didn't get any new paramedics coming through the schools for a couple of years. Thankfully, that's changed, but we're a little behind now. So some people have left, and we're starting to get those people to come back in, but we're behind. So the people that are in the system, tend to be very loyal where they work already, and it's hard to recruit those people. So for us to get new paramedics in has been more challenging compared to getting a new basic or new advanced EMT to come in. So that was one part. The second part was from a financial point of view, which translates into per capita rates, is from a town perspective. We were looking at how can we deliver the best care that's actually needed and not charge as much, as much as we were. So a paramedic level ambulance, this is getting in a little bit to what I was talking about. A paramedic level ambulance, when you include labor costs, so staff, payroll, benefits, the FICA taxes, everything. Our 24/7 paramedic level ambulance that was staffed last year was just a hair short of $1,000. Comparatively, advanced level ambulance is roughly half that. So from a customer perspective, we can put 2 ambulances on the road for the cost of 1 paramedic ambulance, essentially. And we didn't want to do that if it didn't make sense to do so, because our goal is not to jeopardize patient care. But when we looked at our numbers and we saw what we were actually doing, it made all the sense in the world. We still have the paramedics out there, but they're not tied to those ambulances. So if we have four ambulances on the road that can transport, we may only need 2 or 3 paramedics versus the 4 paramedics that we need now. So from a budget perspective, it made sense. And from a clinical perspective, it made sense. So it was kind of a 2-part thing that led us here.
So theoretically, costs could go down. You don't have to replace some of the paramedics.
There's a balance between what's going to cost and the person we can provide. So we want to make sure that we do know that we do need a certain number of paramedics in the system to be available, because in hindsight, we looked at those calls and, like I said, over half of them only needed basic level interventions. But going into the call, we don't always know that. The information that we get from the caller that's routed through the dispatch centers doesn't always tell the whole story. So there are plenty of times where we get there and we find out that it's not anything what we expected to find when we got there. So there's kind of a gray area. So we know that in hindsight, 57% of our calls didn't need a paramedic, they required a basic, but really going into it, it could have been more than that. And then there's a little bit of an overlap. So again, this is all in hindsight. So as a paramedic, I may encounter a patient that I feel I should really be in charge of, because I'm looking at not just what's going on, I'm looking at what could happen. So is there a possibility that I need to do any interventions en route to the hospital? And if the answer to that is yes, I'm going to stay with that patient. So it's a paramedic level call now, but I may not actually do any paramedic level interventions, but I'm there if I need to. So there's a little bit of an overlap. So the percentages tell part of the story, but they don't tell the whole story. So we didn't want to chop our paramedic fleet in half, essentially, and say, well, we've got 20 paramedics on right now, we only need 10. That doesn't work either. So we needed to kind of strike a balance between the two. Don't know if that answers your question.
Andrew?
What towns pay Delta per capita right now?
The current per capita rate of the towns,
The towns that are paying per capita,
35.
35 towns?
Oh, I'm sorry, I guess I misunderstood your question. 13,
General.
it's 13 towns.
Can you,
You wanna list-
like, is it Waterville, Winslow?
Nope.
They don't pay.
No, they're not. So our primary service area includes, I'm gonna miss one. It's Albion, Belgrade and Benton, Fairfield, China, I'm going in alphabetical order. Oakland, Rome, Smithfield and Somerville, and Whitefield, Windsor and Vassalboro. And
Okay,
Albion. I'll forget
so-
the-
When you do an assist for them.
Yeah.
Well, are you getting paid by that town for every assist, or are you free to them?
Are you-
Assist?
For which towns?
The ones that are not in this list you just gave me.
Oh, it's like if we mutual aid to say like Waterville or Winslow,
Yes.
the current setup doesn't have a pay either way. So if they mutual aid us, we don't pay them. If we mutual aid them, they don't pay us. So right now it's kind of a wash. That could change in the next few years, but it sort of starts like this big cycle of everyone pays each other, or we just call it good. And that's been the case with Augusta for as long as I've been here anyway. It's the same with Gardner, it's the same with Winslow and Clinton. And what we do charge for is paramedic intercepts. So the difference is if a town, say Winslow, requests an ambulance because they don't have a transporting unit, and they say we need an ambulance to come, we don't charge them for that. Because when we get there, we're going to build a patient. and patient insurance. If they're requested, if they have a transporting unit, but they need a paramedic, and they'll request a paramedic intercept, and we do charge for those because as a transporting agency, and if I lose anyone here, forgive me, the EMS billing gets a little complicated. The transporting agency is the only agency that can actually bill the patient insurance. So if Winslow is the transporting agency because they have the ambulance, but they request us to help them out with just the paramedic, we can't bill the patient insurance, we have to bill the town. So we charge a paramedic intercept fee. And that's universal.
Being no further questions, Chris, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chris.
Next item up is a mem hall tenant. Kelly?
I have one more copy for you.
I think everybody got one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris.
Yeah, so last week I met with Chris and Jen Curtis. They're from Montana. They now live in Oakland. And they approached me regarding Memorial Hall and starting a business, some retail space in the front and where the safe is, and then the private area in the back. She's a 30-year licensed master esthetician, she's skincare. They are here this evening. I'm gonna stand up and say hi. Hello. Hi, Jocelyn. Chris has a lot of background in construction. And I'd like to ask the council, and we did invite the Memorial Hall Committee. I know part of our work we did with the UMA students was to design a space, and part of it was having a little bit of retail space downstairs and a meeting space, and this is just kind of gonna jumpstart that portion of it. There's details to be worked out. We probably draw up a contract. They would do a lot of the labor work, and the flooring and the ceiling, and we would probably do the replacement of the window outside, the walkway into the doorway. Then we finish the floors, the wainscoting. So it's kind of exciting.
What are we gonna do with Mr. Stevens?
This is nowhere near Mr. Stevens,
That's what-
so he'll be
Yep.
upstairs, downstairs from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Jen will be in her area from,
Probably went to the services when they were tapping upstairs.
Yeah.
That would be great for the facial environment, but, that would be great. So I'm thinking more morning hours for the retail. It's just kind of where we have a vested interest in this. We did buy the home right next door. So, we just would really love to be, become part of the community, and it's right on our block that we could, just.
So this is, and also just, I guess, to add some color or clarity or credibility. So Jen, my wife, has been in this business for about 30 years. We've done this in about 4 or 5 other locations. Solo and with partners in creating different retail environments like this. We've also, my wife also consults about 100 clients in the state of Montana and now soon to be in the Northeast in setting up these kind of spaces. So I can brag for her because I've been married to her for 20 years. She's really, really good at this. And it's a really great, just a really fun thing for the community. We have a high school daughter who's going to be involved in the business. So I think it's going to be something we're passionate about because it's going to be multi-generational and something we want to hopefully do for a long time. As far as my own credibility or chops, I've been in the construction business since I was 15. And I've never worked on a building quite this old, but I've worked on a lot of 100-year-old buildings, not quite 150. So it's a plight of passion for me to kind of bring some life back to old things.
Question?
Doesn't Stevens use the downstairs area isn't it where they congregate when they go in?
yeah, but. So you have the door that Scott Stevens goes in where their little doghouse is over. There's another door
Yeah.
heading towards Church Street.
Okay,
So
it's
she's
just
gonna
not
use
on
that
the building?
the front space where we have storage boxes in there right now.
Yeah, we know
And
where
then-
those need to go.
Yep, and then the back room, which connects,
Right,
that's full of metal chairs right now. Like,
so it's just that. right
it's just
inside
those
of
two
the building.
spaces. Yep.
Okay,
Um,
I'm just picturing it was the main floor downstairs.
No,
So
not
not
that,
that ambitious quite yet.
not that big.
Kelly?
Yeah, I do agree with Kelly. Our long-term plan is to have retail space. I'm the chairman of the preservation committee. That is our goal. That was the design of the building when it was built, was to have retail space downstairs to help maintain the building. So from day one, that was the goal. I have significant concerns. One, we are in a contract with, a consulting firm that does historical buildings. We've just had an engineer come in and check the building, which we haven't even got the report back on yet. We don't know the structure of the building engineer wise. We have an infiltration of water underneath the building. We plan to remove the granite wall on the side of the building, which is right next to the entrance of that building. So I don't know how that will compromise that as well. The bathroom is on the middle floor. There is no bathroom on the ground floor. I don't think we're ready for any tenants in this building. Scott being in the building all these years has kept the building alive by us keeping it heated. That's been the only saving grace for that building. We have a long, expensive road ahead of us in maintaining this building, and having a tenant in there now is just gonna hurt that process moving forward. From all the work that we've been doing as a committee with the preservation committee and with the historical architect that we've entered into an agreement with, that we haven't even gotten our full plan yet as to priorities of what we need to do. And there are big ticket items, new roof, new windows, fixing the groundwater. We don't even know structurally if it's sound at this point. So I'm for one, Michelle and Janet are here as well as our grant writer and our fundraising committee. So
I did a lot of research after I got sent out that little letter that they had. And I looked through on what they wanted to have done before they could move in. And I looked at it compared to the original assessment that we had. And that will run about 181,000 just to get the basics done before they could move in to be doing what they wanted to do. And then, like you said, it's not including the roof. I've got a CDS grant application out still at, in Congress waiting to be approved for the windows. We need to make sure we're hitting all the historic accuracy stuff. That's why we're working with the architectural firm on that. My main questions all the way down through was just, proper walkway. What does it mean? What will it look like? Who's creating it? Who's paying for it? What happens with the retaining wall? What happens with getting the basement stuff done? We're gonna have to dig up the school streets.
full side.
The whole school street side, because we have to fix the water flow problem.
It's been fixed. It's coming up from Church Street under the building.
Okay, so
We have to tear the
regraded
front.
the school street side, because I knew that
We have to tear the front of the building.
okay, well, you could do that too, but they had in the original assessment said we needed to tear up the school street side too to regrade that. It was, I actually wrote down all the number of things for that one. That was access number 3 on that for regrading that side. But I mean, there's just a lot of stuff. The bathrooms, I wasn't sure what they meant by that. The sink in the middle room, I wasn't sure what was meant by that, because there's no middle room in between those two.
It's the room they want, the big space.
Yeah.
And then
There
is a sink.
There's a sink in between the bank.
Old kitchen.
Yeah, the old kitchen. That's on the other side of the building now.
That's okay.
No, they said middle room, so that's why I was trying to visualize it, because they were supposed to only be, you were talking about only going into the bank.
They'll have a sink,
Okay,
the bathrooms.
So it was just all kinds of questions like that were the things that I was coming up with anyway, and just kind of, we need to wait till we get that, that, yeah,
Yeah.
that engineer's report before we can move forward really, and you know, we don't have the money right now to do these repairs at this point in time to get to this
That's
point.
one of the
so-
things that is mentioned in their letter, that they would fund those repairs and we would take it off their rent.
Didn't see where they were gonna fund it. I just saw that it was gonna do some of the painting and wainscoting and sealing. And refinishing the floors. The labor pieces for that. That's all that I saw was gonna be the labor pieces. I might have misread it. I mean, I read through it multiple times, but it was just a concern.
Right above where they have lists out what they're gonna do. It's requesting that investments made by the business to interior improvements be applied towards future rent.
Yeah, I saw that piece, but when I was reading down through the specifics, it just looked like basically they were just gonna be doing some of the labor towards it and stuff. So it's just some of the concerns I have. And, you know, was trying to get some of that done, and if it's going through to be taken off on their rent, I don't know how it's gonna really, because that's gonna be very expensive. I don't know how it's gonna help us with future or the near future at least. Further out future would probably help, but these were also concerns. Yes, last night we had a meeting at OEHS, which most of the people are on the Memorial Hall Committee, and everybody was very concerned about making sure everything was.
John is our committee engineer as well.
I read through that, and I had a lot of questions pop up in my head. I'm going to go over the list and do that. One of the first things we'd have to do for a meeting would be get the group together with the consultants. Because they're gonna have to be a big part of every step made.
100%.
And we do have structural issues with building, we just don't know how severe. And that's what we're waiting for on the report.
But if that's the case, Scott Stevens shouldn't even be in the building.
Not saying, there's a difference, that's when I said severity, you can have a structural issue that's not imminent for failure. And that's where we're at right now, we just don't know, and we're waiting for that information.
Yeah, Dave. I'm not saying I'm for or against, my only concerns would be, or thoughts would be to make sure that it's code compliant. It meets parking requirements, and I don't know how much parking that would actually take, a couple spots maybe. But in the historic preservation, should be requirements for that if it's on the historic registry. So,
You know,
Do we need to table this until we can have a meeting of the committee and,
give the engineer
the-
report.
with the people here and discuss some of these issues?
how long before we'll get the engineers report back?
They told us by mid to late September,
I'm sorry, Joe,
mid to late September.
right off the bat. Are you folks okay with that?
Oh, yeah, yes, absolutely. It just really just wanted to put our feelers out and see where the committee was. We're not in any hurry to do this. I figured it would be a process, especially with the historical building. So we just wanted to reach out and we're just interested and honestly, I thought maybe you would be further than you are, and this gives us clarity. So, yeah, so we're fine with that.
Just to clarify, we could get way in the weeds on this, but any repairs that I would do, I would pay for out of my own pocket plus my labor. I would agree with Kelly on what that labor rate is. I would charge it less than market rate. Because my market rate's a lot higher than I would charge. My market rate is gonna be at least $100 to $150 an hour. I charge half or less, just for perspective. Because I have a vested interest in the building. As far as historical things, I'm very familiar with that. We're not doing anything to the outside of the building. I would be volunteering to clean up a space as a community member and provide some proof of concept, because I think just a 1 minute version, I've seen a lot of communities go through this with old buildings, and there's a lot of time spent getting ready to start. By the time they're ready to start, the building's not fixable anymore. And part of that is, it's really hard as a business person in the community, when you have a very powerful lumber company, Hammond Lumber Company. I don't know them, but I've been in that business a long time. That is a very influential partner that could be involved in this project. But it's really hard for them to put their name forward if they don't feel like there's gonna be a commitment from the community. I'm just trying to offer one little sliver of a proof of concept, volunteering to clean up one small space of that building and show people, the community and potential investors and donors, what that, you know, that building is still capable of breathing life back into. So we take no offense, we take no criticism. It's just, I see a building as an outsider that just came to the community that has a very short window of time left to still be brought back to its splendor. It's, you know, if these processes go on, you know, for a couple more years, that building's not gonna be savable by anybody. So I was just throwing my hat in the ring, offering to, you know, pay it out of pocket up front and work out an amicable situation with the town to be, to be reimbursed. So,
We greatly appreciate that. I just, as a counselor, I have to mention so that it's on the record that that's been brought forward and.
We wouldn't be able to sleep at night if we didn't ask first before we went and rented a space somewhere else or bought a space somewhere.
Greatly appreciate that.
Thank you very much for your generosity.
I have a quick question. How would this situation work with the tip stuff? Because you have a renter as, like, I understand how it worked with the.
We can do a facade grant.
Yeah.
Taxes are involved, so a facade grant. We would be the town would be the landlord and they would apply for funding.
All right, so it works with a renter type of thing.
Absolutely.
I just knew that, you know, they owned that building and that's how they did it, but I was kind of curious because I wasn't. It's a new thing.
John?
I just want to mention, has it been in the building, you know? Yeah. Take a look at it. You might get come up with budget numbers that you think would take, get to the point where you do it. And we could work with that with consultants. One of my concerns is that if they have to do an overhead work, they wouldn't want anybody below to do it.
Yeah, and I, we fully understand that. Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's what I'm saying, we got to deal with contact with consultants.
Yes.
Where we're at, for any commitments.
Yeah, and it sounds like the engineering report's kind of a big one, so we fully understand. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Seeing no further discussion, next item up is talk about the Daughters of the American Revolution.
So, Fort Halifax in Winslow has a chapter of the Daughters of the American Resolution. Each year, they ask us to put a poster up and sign a proclamation that pretty much marks the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitution and Convention. And it goes down, and we've done it every year. We need approval that you're okay with it.
Motion, we do it again. Motion's been made. Do we have a second? Second by Dave. All in favor?
Thank you.
Next item up is the minutes, public safety, public policy for public meeting.
Safety policy for public meetings. That's it. We had discussed this at the last meeting, the Robert's Rules of Order was added. Also Bob had sent the state statute 2608, which is public comment at public meetings for municipal officers. This goes into effect on September 24th, so I've added that in. The statute pretty much states a reasonable opportunity for public comment must be provided on matters addressed by the municipal governing body at any regularly scheduled public meeting of the municipal officers. This section does not apply to the subcommittee meeting or the municipal governing body. This section does not preempt or restrict the municipal governing body from adopting or enforcing reasonable standards governing public comment, including time limits and conduct standards. So I just threw in a number that a resident could talk 2 minutes on an agenda item. I don't know if you want to make that 3 or less than 5. Or if they want to be put on the agenda, they would need to notify me 1 week prior to the meeting. So,
Well, I've never seen any council meeting in this town where someone in the audience who wanted to ask a question or talk for a few minutes, either for or against something, that they've been prevented from doing that. But you may have read in the newspapers that there are some towns where they have a designated period at the end, and some towns don't have any designated period. And you've undoubtedly read in the news or seen on the news about some towns who get in a real knot with people want to talk about taxes, or they want to talk about police, or you fill in the blank, and the council or the selectmen just won't let them. So this law was passed in the last year in the legislature, that now the governing body, whether it's the council or the selectmen, have to allow people in the audience some period of time to discuss issues. Like if you wanted to talk about the Memorial Hall, and you had a town where the council didn't care what you wanted to say, you couldn't talk. So there's a new law that says that you can. Like I said, never seen that problem in Oakland. I think we need to set a limit. 2 minutes is fine, I think. And ultimately it could be up to the chair of the council if somebody wanted to take 2 more minutes at the pleasure of the chair of the council or the council itself. So it's a good law. It allows people to talk at a meeting in those towns where they were prevented from doing it in the past.
Go ahead, Mel.
My question is, does this address it? Because I really haven't read it. You look at my eyes, you know why. But does this also address the length of time that you could talk about taxes that night? You know, like you've got, sometimes you've seen it in certain towns where 50 people want to talk for 5 minutes apiece because 5 minutes was.
That's
why you do the 2 minutes.
That's why we did.
2 minutes. You'll have 50 people that want to talk for 2 minutes apiece. You know, or are you going to allow 100 people to talk for 2 minutes apiece? Or is there like a time restriction for the length of time that you can discuss a certain topic?
The way we propose it is that it's 2 minutes per resident.
Yeah.
So if you have 100 residents who show up and they all want to talk about it, this isn't at the annual town meeting.
Right.
This is at this meeting
Right.
tonight.
And I understand that it's unlikely. I have lived in a town where it has happened.
Yeah,
And
yes.
it can be a real problem. And there was, 5 minutes per person, and they did have to actually stop the discussion after a while because, it was going on to 2 hours.
Right.
Because, get enough people.
But I've never seen that happen here.
Yeah.
This is
And I just
a new
really
law.
think it's a piece
I think this is a good solution.
A lot of this can be curtailed because if you read it, it says 2 minutes per person per resident on agenda items.
Yeah.
On agenda items. So
Yeah.
someone just can't come out of the blue and say, let's talk about the transfer station. Let's talk about the road, so we can already have a lot of the answers done.
Right.
And other than being blindsided, we can have a lot of the answers and it will help people out.
and if you want to talk about something new, let me know a week ahead of time.
Exactly.
And we'll get it on the agenda.
We already had this one.
Yeah, I thought 2 minutes was good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have a question. Where will this live? Where the average citizen could find it and know?
Well, we're redoing our website, and part of that is getting all policies online. Right now, they live in a folder on our server. So they were never on our website.
Okay, because as I've mentioned to you, I think it's important.
Absolutely.
We're going to create policies that are available to the general public to be able to see them.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Next up, public safety.
So are we good? This is final?
I make a motion, we accept that as our safety policy for public community.
So he's got one more.
Mel, you got a question?
We know a timeline of when we will get training. It talks about there will be training available.
I gotta work it out with Rick.
Okay,
Um, we can set a.
thank you.
Do that.
So motion's been made, we accept this draft as a,
That's with that modification, right? That's with the modification.
with the modification.
Is there a change?
Yes.
Yeah.
Green changes, yeah.
Motion's been made, do we have a second? Second, all in favor? Thank you.
And where it's only a public policy, it's easily corrected or changed at
Correct.
other meetings, so it isn't like it's cast in stone.
Not an ordinance. Ordinance are hard. So I wanted to give a little update on buildings and grounds. They've been very busy. All of our MMA corrective actions have been completed. The metal roof has been repaired, along with the internal strapping on the storage building at the entrance of the transfer station. So those were some sightings that MMA wanted us to fix. The new metal roof has been installed on the Cascade building over here. The new swings were installed, along with new playground chips at the waterfront parks. That was another MMA sighting that they wanted fixed. 25 plus stumps and ground debris has been removed from Lakeview Cemetery. So throughout the cemetery, those stumps that we went out to bid on, the guy finally came and did it. Looks great. And we installed the new metal roof on the pump house at Pleasant Point Park. Gary Bowman started working for us in 2013. We call him GB2. We used to have a Gary Bowman too. He is going to drop down to 20 hours starting in November. He's going to move full-time to part-time. And then at the end of November, he won't work the winter. And then he will begin work part-time in spring. Just to let you know that for buildings and grounds. Public Works. So we purchased 3 new plow trucks this year. One, the best one we put up at the transfer, or is going up to the transfer station. The other 2 have been listed on Craigslist, the MMA site, and my town manager listserv. So it's a sealed bid due on September 25th. So we'll open those, and
That's the old truck, right?
the old trucks, yeah. Of
I
course.
got concerned when you said we bought 3 new
We
trucks.
bought 2 new trucks, so we're getting rid of 3 old trucks. So hopefully we'll get some money from that. It'll go into the revenue, and then we will use that money to offset our payment next year.
We use a site called Gov Deals.
Gov Deals, never heard of it. All right. .com
Yeah, sure.
or .gov?
He doesn't know.
Okay. All right. I will check that out tomorrow. The Main Trails Bond grant, our little committee we had submitted it the other day, Monday, I think. So we put in for $250,000 to get a parking lot, become a trailhead. So don't know where the trailhead's gonna be yet, but
Refresh me just a minute. Did that cover getting over to Pleasant Street, or is that just the parking lot?
it's just the parking lot.
That is separate, the other piece?
This piece, yeah, that we got a municipal ATV grant for 85,000.
Oh,
So that did that piece, and the 250, and with the Main Trails Bond grant, the more locations that you can help, the better. So we put in, I think we were around 170. And the remaining of the 250 is the Meslonsky Stream Trail. So John Gardner and Malcolm were on our committee, and They lost a lot of bridges, they have a lot of rot, erosion, so they're gonna fix all of that along the street trail over here, so. It's good. Should know by hopefully middle of October. If we get that. But that's been submitted,
Or we probably won't be building that this fall.
probably not.
Yeah.
So. A couple other things that have come up since I did the agenda. Kathy is done being on the Oak Fest committee. Got a list of people together that are interested in being on the new committee. One of the things, I guess the previous town manager didn't want Oak Fest money intertwined with town money. But the way we do our accounting, it's completely separate. It's a special revenue with an expense account, and it's just a fiscal agent. The money flows in and out. We pay the bills, the money goes in our account. Right now, we have a separate bank account from our bank account. So it's another bank reconciliation. It's another, that you have to have your separate checks. Like it can't, it's kind of a pain. But I'd like to ask if we can move that money into our general account, create an account number, and be the fiscal agent for Oak Fest. There's currently about $99,400 in that account. Deposits come in for vendors, payments go out for, what do you, I don't know what you pay, so. The children's bounce house stuff, you know,
Terry, this would basically be like if you got a grant that said it was only for the flags in Oakland, it would have a different account number and just be treated that way, that type of thing. Yeah. So it's just designated money earmarked for only Oakland. Yeah.
This is all subject to an audit every year anyway, so I don't see a problem with that.
it's not even included in the audit right now,
No,
because
it will be.
it will be, correct, yep.
So I'd like.
And you'll see the payments on the warrant, it'll say Oak Fest, so you'll know what's being paid and deposits going in, much cleaner system.
That was a motion.
I'd make a motion, we grant them permission.
Thank you.
Motion made second by Mr. Nutting, all in favor?
Next fall, we'll find out from our auditor whether it worked or not.
Well, he's coming next week, so he'll be here Wednesday, we can ask him. We have our audit next week, and Cheryl's done an amazing job
Yeah.
getting us ready, so. Nomination update, so papers are due back, currently we have two positions open for council, 5 people have taken papers out, 2 people have returned them as of today, they're due Monday. Budget advisory, we have 4 positions, 7 people have taken out papers, 3 people have returned them. RSU 18, we have 1 position, 2 people have taken out papers, none of them have been returned, so. I don't think it's up to Kathy to chase these. I mean, but we may put out another reminder. Nomination papers are due, so. Tomorrow, our police department is at their final stage of their MLEAP certification. At 10 o'clock, 7 people are gonna show up and they're going to go completely through their building, the evidence room, the policies, Rick's office. Some are gonna go out on patrol. He's been working hard at this for 2 years to be MLEAP certified, so.
What would you call the certification again?
MLEAP,
MLEAP?
Maine Law Enforcement Accreditation Program.
Right. They're credit guys, like you.
Yeah.
That line, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna benefit us with like getting grants and stuff like that. Having that certification.
Or would they believe it helps with the insurance?
Yeah, we get a discount on our police liability insurance from MMA.
Everything from training records, personal files, the way that we log in and out of our armory, if we log in and out our evidence, with our day-to-day function, we go through the whole thing, make sure we're doing it professionally. As long as we are on the staff, they grant us certification. Start reading some benefits from.
It's like a gold star. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing. Yeah, and they worked hard to get ready for it, so. Well, so I've reconvened the building committee. You might see the upcoming meeting, on October 2nd. And recently, we went and looked at the Water Street property, which is one level, pretty big. It's 4,700 square feet. They're asking 495,000 for it. Our building, our current building, is falling apart. It's not ADA compliant. It's dangerous. There's more and more issues with it every week that passes. We're trying to hold off for 3 years, and I really want to try to do that, to build, but. So we were thinking, this might be a good alternative for the town office. I think $500,000 to buy it, and then probably $500,000 to retrofit to us. Could we all fit? Yes. It loses our campus feel. So then someone said, well, why don't you get new plans since we have the house now? We don't need an elevator from our old plans that we developed in 2023. We could get a new design of a 1-story floor building and see what that price comes in. So that's kind of why I've regrouped our building committee to go through that. So just,
What the square footage of this plan was?
it was over 10,000,
Okay. And that is 4,500,
47.
4,700?
Well, I don't know what ours is right now, but this one, yeah.
4,700.
This one was 4,700.
Where did you say the location for that property?
What's that?
The property that you designed, where's the location from that you said on Water Street?
The Northern Light Building. Down
Doctor's
on-
office.
The doctor's office building down on Water Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went and looked at it a couple weeks ago. Pretty big. And lastly, our ATV committee has scheduled an event for Saturday to park at Wrigley Field. And they forgot to ask permission. Kevin forgot to ask permission. So we're here to ask permission if they could, if people leave to park, could they park at Wrigley?
Towing vehicles or the ATVs, trailers?
Trailers, Kevin?
Yeah, leave vehicles parking there to go. It's our last event of the season. We're just doing a club ride to Juicy J's, which we have a band over there for the night. There'll be a bonfire stand, stuff to eat. And that'll go on until 10 o'clock, then come back. How many people are gonna show up for the ride? I have no idea. Could be 1, 2 vehicles, could be 50, I have no idea. And like I said, this is our last one of the season.
And look,
Has it recently been mowed, so we don't have to worry about fire?
No idea if it's been mowed or not. We don't mow it.
I don't think.
So-
Are they offloading there and driving somewhere?
Yeah, we're just gonna offload them off of the vehicles. And then we're going on a group ride up into the Emden parking ride, and then turning around and coming back to Juicy J's and Florissant. To get trailers.
Where are you going to-
So we're going to go from the Wrigley Field, we'll get.
I don't know.
Oak Street, go through, and get on trail there.
They couldn't cross.
Well, we're all through all the same.
I'd make a motion, we're going to try that, see how it works.
it'll be their first shot at, getting along well with the neighbors, and, we'll see how it works. Motion's been made. Do we have a second? I do. Second by Mr. Nutting, all in favor? Opposed?
So Kevin, try to get it mowed before Friday, Kevin.
I'll see if I can get someone over there to do it.
Okay. It's all,
I haven't been notified of the ATV committee meetings.
we haven't had any. Yeah, we haven't had any. We're gonna have one next month. And just a FYI, I'm gonna be out of town from the 25th to the 30th. My nephew's getting married.
Kelly, do you have anything?
With the, detour from 95 down Fairfield Street, any chance we can get more patrols because they're speeding like bats out of hell, using it as 95?
Yes.
It's commuter traffic, so morning and evening. Yeah, and it's big trucks, it's everything. It's mostly commuters. Yeah, because they can't get on the highway, so.
And we need to get more patrol out on rice rips. And I'd like to get some sort of traffic calming where it turns to 30 miles an hour. Like, I don't know, red flags or a flashing sign. Somebody almost got.
What's the update on the hot top for the sidewalks from the school and?
Our guys just finished up backfilling and tamping this week. Fairfield Street's done, so pavement very,
All the
very,
vehicles
very soon.
on Oak Street?
Oak Street, most of the manholes are done. I know he's doing something different with Allagash where it comes in by you.
All the. Unless they did something
The
today.
risers are in. Yeah, and they've feathered, maybe they need to come back and.
Yeah, they're not, I don't think they're that bad.
Okay, I'll check with Jeff.
And they did fix the 10 feet they run from my parents' driveway.
Yeah.
What? They put a curb in front of their driveway, 10 feet.
I'm good. I'm all set. Kelly,
Motion to adjourn.
second, all in favor. Good night, folks. Thank you for coming in.